Welcome to Hot Mess Therapist, the podcast where real life meets real therapy. We're two therapists, best friends, moms, and business partners navigating the beautiful chaos of life together. As co-owners of a private practice, we help others work through relationships, parenting challenges, anxiety, stress, and all the messy parts of being human.
Each week, we'll dive into conversations about love, relationships, friendships, parenting, family dynamics, mental health, and everything in between. We'll share insights from our clinical experience, lessons from our own lives, and plenty of honest stories about the moments when even therapists don't have it all together. So, grab your coffee or a glass of wine, hide from your kids for a few minutes if you can, and join us for authentic conversations, practical advice, and a reminder that being a hot mess doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. We're so glad you're here. This is Hot Mess Therapist.
Welcome back to Hot Mess Therapist. I'm Nikki.
I'm Sarah.
Oh, and here we are in our new podcast studio.
Isn't it so pretty?
I love it. I love these chairs.
Mm-hmm.
We just got to figure out some sort of way to be able to get our laptops so we can see them. I think we might have an idea, so stay tuned.
Yeah, it's because my eyes are bad and I can't see when it's too far away.
And Hartley had to get a different camera with a little bit wider lens, so we're working on that. But we do have a coffee table here, and one of the things we do want comments on is what should we decorate the coffee table with?
Ooh,
I know
love that.
So that might be on our social media soon, so comment so we know what to decorate it with.
Give us ideas.
So today, we are following up from your story of Sam escaping.
Story of Sam.
And we're going to focus in on toddlers and toddlers and young kids, I should say.
Absolutely.
And creating safety and space for your child.
Yes, for them to learn and grow and explore. And from a therapist perspective, we tend to look at that development through an attachment lens. So we're going to talk a little bit about attachment with kids, the different styles of attachment that they have, and how we as grown-ups can support healthy attachment.
Yeah, I mean, attachment starts in the early years because this carries in to how we function in our relationships, whether they're our love relationships, our friendships, those types of things
absolutely
play a big role in adulthood.
It does.
So what is attachment?
What is attachment? So attachment is a mechanism that actually starts at birth, and the purpose of attachment is really for the child to learn how to develop deep emotional bonding between them and their primary caregiver. And in a lot of instances, this can be mom, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
But whoever is that primary caregiver is the one in which that first attachment bonds start to happen. This is characterized by proximity maintenance, right? It's that closeness. There's a safe haven, a secure base, which we're going to be talking about, that this instinctive connection that develops during the first years, that first 5 years of life is really, really important, and it heavily shapes a child's future and for their future social and romantic attachments, which you had just mentioned. But it's not just that, it also helps promote their cognitive development.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think people hear attachment and they don't quite fully understand all the pieces that go into it. Right?
Absolutely. It's a therapy word.
Right. Exactly.
It's a child development word.
And I'm going to be real honest. There's that old wives' tale or that old theory of, just go ahead and put the baby down and let him cry it out.
Oh.
Right?
Yep.
And that can create disruptions in attachment. Research now shows that is not the good method to deal with it.
No, and the reason behind that is it helps the child learn how to self-regulate. And so that if you left them to their own devices to cry, then they will learn how to self-soothe. Right. What we know to be true now is that we as humans don't actually learn how to self-regulate. We co-regulate.
Correct.
And this actually does extend far into adulthood.
Absolutely.
That we regulate better when we do co-regulation with people. Not that we don't learn how to self-soothe at times, but we're not going to be able to learn how to self-soothe until we learn how to regulate with a partner, with a parent. Right. So our parent's job, our role as a parent, is to be a co-regulator for our child. So if our baby is crying, the baby is letting us know that there's a need.
Yes, absolutely.
Crying equals need.
That is how they communicate.
Is how they communicate. And we're going to get into it, but behaviors are also communication. And 100%. So when children have negative behaviors, it is them communicating a need. So our job as a parent is to decipher the need and meet it. And with a baby, we learn, if you ever had an infant in your house for an extended period of time, what you learn is different cries have different meanings, and you start to learn what those needs are. Right. So if a baby's crying at night, they need you. They're either wet, or they're hungry, or they're scared, or they're bored. They woke up and they don't know what to do, right? They are calling for you. Yeah. And so the crying out method is really, I did it one night. I had a suggestion from an adult older than me. Yeah. I was like, hey, try this. And I sat outside my son's room and cried with him.
Yeah.
And the whole time he cried in his crib. And so I decided that was awful.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to do that again. And so we did not maintain the cry it out method. But our job is to go in and to pick up that baby and to comfort it and to meet a need. Are they hungry? We feed them. Are they wet? We change them. Right? Yeah. If they're bored and awake, then guess what?
Yeah,
we're going to be up with them.
To be with them. Yeah, I never tried any of the cry it out method with my kiddos. Harley was always one that would wake up and always be happy when she woke up.
I believe that.
Yeah, always. And that was before, like, the baby monitors that had the cameras, but we, like, made a camera baby monitor, so we checked the TV, and she's in there just happy as a clam. And Creed was one who always would wake up and instantly be, like, crabbing, not crying, but he was crabbing, so we'd go in and get him. And Axel had a really strong startle response and would slam into the side of the crib, and we knew it was about 5 seconds before
a meltdown
was coming. So we never used any of that with that, but it was just kind of interesting how looking at where they are now as adults and wondering what that played a role in early on.
Absolutely. What it did teach your children is that their needs would be met.
Yeah.
And so that allowed a development of them to have a secure base, right? So I mentioned that there were different styles of attachment.
Absolutely.
The important one is a secure base. We need to have a safe place that our kids can go to in order for them to learn how to explore the world outside of us.
Yeah.
My example of this is a toddler at a playground, right? A secure toddler is going to run off towards the fun stuff, potentially the other children, and then there's going to be periodic checking back, right? So they're either going to look to make sure we're watching, or they're going to run back, maybe to show us a rock or hand us a flower or to ask for a snack. Right? But that's a check back.
A check back for connection.
Safety. And then once they feel like, I checked in, I feel safe, I'm good to go, then I can go explore the world away from mom again.
Yeah.
Obviously as a toddler, that's about as far as they're going.
Yep.
It's not like when we talk about older kids later on, far, far away.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's the forward and then back. But there are different attachment styles. There is an insecure or anxious attachment. There is a avoidant or an ambivalent attachment, and a disorganized attachment style that can develop, and for a litany of reasons. So this isn't always a fault issue.
No, it's not. I think about my kids, and I Creed and Harley definitely had a very secure attachment with me from the get-go. But when I think about Axel, we were almost like anxious or maybe even a little like kind of avoidant because he spent a significant amount of time in the NICU.
That's right. So that's disrupted
and that really
attachment.
disrupted our attachment that then caused us to have to do some significant therapy for early childhood.
Yes.
Because that can be repaired.
It's so repairable.
Yeah, but I remember, and he knows this, like looking at him and going, oh, this is a different feeling, right? And in all reality, he didn't like me either.
He was like, who are you?
Yeah. So it was very interesting after that NICU stay to see how that dynamic was different than the other two that did not stay significant amount of times in the NICU.
Right. And I think that's a good piece to bring up. There are situations beyond our control sometimes as parents where attachment may be disrupted. And, you know, I never like to look at it as fault. It is more like what has happened, what is the scenario that has occurred.
Right.
And it could be, you know, maybe primary caregiver has depression.
Yeah.
Has a lot of anxiety or is feeling really numb or disconnected or cut off, and that can create, even though they're caring and loving and you know, really attentive to the baby, sometimes that the co-regulation isn't there. Yeah. And so we can have some disrupted attachment, which will come out in some behaviors later on.
Yeah.
But I do think the important thing to remember is that attachment is repairable. It is not static. We're not going to talk about it today, but future, when we talk about maybe adults and attachment and relationship, I think it's really important to remember that your attachment style doesn't define who you are as a person or define all the relationships that you will be in.
Right.
We can have different attachment styles given different relationships.
Absolutely.
But today we are going to focus a little bit more on building a secure-based relationship between parent and child.
Yeah, and for the side note, that my youngest, that secure-based relationship is good. I mean, he's 18 now, and I'm a little concerned we're not going to move out.
Right.
He loves
you
mom.
really did good work.
Thank you.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
He will. He'll do
I
great.
know.
But he feels very safe and secure
That's right.
in his home, right? And connected. So, yeah, it is 100% repairable, workable, with skilled therapists.
Absolutely. Also want to note that small instances of misconnection does not create a negative attachment.
It does not.
As parents, we can't attune all the time.
No.
Sometimes we get things wrong. Sometimes we just miss a bid for connection. So when those things happen, it's fine. Repair happens easily. You come back. If you barked at your kid because they're screaming for goldfish and you're in the middle of something, you're like, just a minute, and you did not meet that need immediately, you're not creating a poor attachment with your child. It is so repairable to turn back around and go, okay, Mom has a minute.
Yeah.
What do you need?
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that.
Regroup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, you talked about secure attachment, being that secure base, the checking back in if they're on the playground. Can you talk a little bit more about other attachment styles and what those might look like?
Yeah. So, when we do fancy assessments.
Yes, all those fancy assessments.
These are some of the things that we look for when we're looking at different attachment styles that can show up. There is a small little activity that we have done.
Yes.
That is when we have the parent and a child, when we're doing an assessment, we have the parent leave the room for a minute.
Yeah, that one is always really, really telling and very, very interesting.
It is, because what we look for is how the parent leaves, how the child reacts to the parent leaving, and then how the parent returns, and how the child reacts to the parent returning.
Correct.
Secure-based kids, maybe like, where'd you go?
Right.
But for the most part, there is an understanding that mom or dad will be back, especially because secure-based kids have been told
Well, and oftentimes that's the other thing we judge, sorry parents, is we're giving away our secrets here, but do you prep your kid before you leave? Do you say, hey buddy, I've got to go, I'm going to just be out here for a minute and I'll be right back.
And that child trusts that that's going to happen.
And that's so different than like when you think about school, preschool drop-offs or daycare drop-offs, like, hey, I'm dropping you off this morning, but I will be right back. To pick you up after school.
Absolutely. Now, and because you use that example, which is a really good one, because I want to be really careful because I don't want parents going, oh no, my kid has a meltdown when I drop him off at daycare. They might be insecurely attached. It's not true.
That is not true.
Sam, for probably a good year, when I would drop him off at daycare, would cry in the back seat and say, don't you love me? When I would have to drop him off, which is heartbreaking. And I'd be like, of course I love you. I will be back after work. You're going to have fun with your friends. And he goes, then why do you leave me?
Yeah.
Like, it was heartbreaking. So he has a very secure attachment style. The difference here is, like, the separation was difficult. He didn't like that. But within minutes of me leaving, he is happily engaged in his environment, right? So there's a quick recovery, and he's excited to see me when I come back. So when we talk about, the parents leaving the room, that's what we're looking for. A secure child might be like, wait, what? And then kind of be okay knowing that their parent's going to come back.
Right.
And then their parent comes back, and they're excited to see him. Hey!
Yeah. And sometimes don't want to leave.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The other piece is there is a phase of normal development when kiddos don't want to detach from parents. And that usually starts around 9 months old, I would say.
Yeah. Between that 8 to 10 month range.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And so the 8 to 10 months range. My kids, I think, were all around 9 months. I'd hand them to Alice, their wonderful daycare provider, and they would not let go, right? They have the death grip on you.
Yeah.
And you're like,
total freak out.
No, I got it, right? Mm-hmm. Again, that is normal attachment stuff, right? They're attached to you. Same thing, you're not able to maybe see that or know that, but the daycare provider can report, oh yeah, they were fine 5 minutes after you left, right? And oftentimes that dissipates over time and is not anything concerning. That is normal development.
That's so normal.
Yeah.
And an insecurely attached child may look a little different when this happens.
Yeah.
They can get really panicked about being left alone.
Yep.
And then they can't tolerate the being left alone. These kids will often try to follow their parents out. They will throw themselves on the ground. And this is outside the range of what we look at normal separation anxiety. That there is no soothing the fear of being abandoned or being left, right? And even sometimes on the return, they're really, really upset. And then they become really, really clingy because they're afraid their parent's going to leave again. The avoidant or the ambivalent child is actually not going to care, or they're going to look like they don't care. So they're going to barely register that their adult has left, and they're not going to greet that adult when they come back.
Yeah. There's going to be no notice of that if your child is just not paying attention that you even left or disappeared.
Yeah. There are various looks at, an ambivalent child who's also insecure can have a lot of distress, but then also the parent can't suit them.
Right.
So there are some of these elements of it's fear, right? It's the child not knowing what to expect, can't predict safety. And whether they're avoidant or insecure or disorganized, none of that really matters except for how do we help this child repair relationships, right? A disorganized child, these disorganized children tend to have some really significant disrupted attachment in their life. So these are going to be kids that have maybe endured some abuse and neglect, maybe have spent time in foster care, or potentially even a parent who has been hospitalized for a long time, and not have been given a lot of scripting or predicting or support in that missed attachment. It's a survival response. They tend to be pretty apprehensive, pushing away or overly attached to strangers or, right?
The overly attached to strangers is a big one, right? Just being therapists, sometimes going to get kids out of the waiting room.
Yeah.
If they come to us without any fear sometimes, and they're just like, no big deal.
First session, not when they've gotten to know their therapist for a while.
They love us after that. But no, that first session, or if they're in the waiting room and they're like hugging everybody, or, not even really caring if their parent's there or their caregiver, it's like, okay, I think I already know a treatment goal that we need to work on.
Yeah. So those are the 4 styles of attachment. Those are the things that we look for. And in terms of like what we would do to help repair, there are a lot of different modalities that therapists use to work on attachment repair, but there are things that parents can do too if they've noticed things.
Absolutely, yeah. One of the things I think about in attachment for my kiddos is ever since each one of them was born, and obviously as I added them, with them each being 16 and a half months apart, they all became a part of it at one point, but connection time in the evening. I would take time and rock each one of my children to sleep. So for example, Axel was the youngest, he'd go to sleep first. So he'd be the first one to rock and read a book, right? Or we'd sing songs, and then I'd get him down and Creed would be next, right? But they're all in the same space playing while I'm getting each one down. And then they'd be all out, but they'd all get to read the book. I mean, the other day we were just talking and they were like, oh, we remember you used to read us the 5 Little Monkeys book. I'd read that to them each night, sometimes multiple times, right? That's that connection, that's that safety that creates that love bond, right?
Absolutely.
So those are things you can do. But attachment is another piece that takes a level, you talked about that safe, secure attachment, but that also plays a role in how our children develop, respond to us when situations maybe get sticky, or we're working on discipline techniques, or creating safety and environments.
Absolutely.
In childhood.
Absolutely.
So I find in clients I've worked with and my own parenting that when there's strong attachment, teaching children right from wrong and consequences and those type of things go much smoother.
It does. It really does. I think when there is struggle with attunement and attachment in a parent-child relationship, it's not just the child that gets really frustrated, it's the parent that gets really frustrated, and then everybody is feeding off of each other.
Everybody's frustrated.
And I think there's also some kind of old school parenting ideas that kind of creep in still, that we have to teach kids right from wrong, but then the way that we tend to do that can be a little bit more fear-based.
Yes.
Like when we're yelling, or I told you a million times not to do that, or right. So then it's just a creation of conflict over and over and over again.
Right. Or even like I think about when kids are like toddling around and then no. Like I literally did not use that. I would go to my kids.
Hey.
Harley was great. Never touched a dang thing in her life. Didn't try even. Creed gave me a run for my money.
Yeah.
Right?
Just curious. You wanted to see all the things.
All the things. But it was, And I think the other thing parents forget is kids are their own person.
Yeah.
They have their own ideas. And so if they've locked in, and I'm going to use this example, I had these little Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer characters that I put out at Christmas time. And I came home one day and the babysitter had been there, and they were in like 100 pieces. And I knew exactly who did it, right?
Yeah.
To this day, like, they're glued together, and I still have them, but we're like, oh yeah, that's when Creed got a hold of the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer pieces, right? But in that, he sees those. he's made his decision.
Yes.
He wants to explore them. He wants to touch them. He wants to play with them, right?
How else do you learn about them?
How else do you learn about them, right? And so as parents, we can be angry that they're broken, or we can be sad or disappointed. But taking that anger out on the 2-year-old is not going to be an effective measure.
It's not.
And I remember, with Creed, I was like, we had an accident with the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer figures. Yeah. And my kids were, I want to say they were very bright when they were young. They're so bright, but like they just understood. I did a lot of languaging towards them, right? Yeah. Kids understand.
Kids know.
And I remember saying to him, I'm like, oh, Mommy is sad. These are broken. We're going to glue them together, but these are not for Creed's hands, right? We can't touch these. Yes. These are things we're not going to play with. But then also offering alternatives.
And that, yes.
So I remember buying him some Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, like, toys.
Yeah.
That he could play with. And to this day, he still likes Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I think at Christmas time, he puts a little stuffed one out on his bed, when he's 20. Sorry, I just told you out, but it's really cute. And I love it.
Yes.
Creed's my sensitive one, and he's such a, just a little cutie when it comes to that. And he loves Christmas. So,
like his mother.
I know. I don't know where he got that from. But, he then never went after those toys.
Yeah.
Or, the statues ever again.
Yeah.
He would go to his toys, and there was no need to have these big consequences.
Right.
Or spankings and these old school ideas.
That's right.
Of, I'm going to be authoritative and show you right from wrong.
Right. Right. It doesn't actually teach. So there's a misunderstanding of child development when we look at, like, putting him in a corner or spanking him for doing those things. And a lot of that comes from his brain not being able to connect the punishment to the action.
Correct.
And so when we punish like that, we're not teaching, we're trying to soothe our own anger.
Right.
So if we are going to keep, positive attachment and that kind of development happening, we have to be safe. And we can't be safe if we're not predictable and we're yelling all the time. 8 to 24 months, you're saying Creed was about 2.
About 2, yeah.
This is when kids show a preference, like a strong preference for a caregiver. It's like cats, how they have, like, one person that they like. Yeah. Toddlers and cats are a little bit the same.
Unless you're my black cat who just loves everybody.
Yeah, that's true. He does do that. They start to do the separation anxiety thing, but it's the proximity, the closeness to the caregiver that is really going to demonstrate that attachment, and they can't stay close if the caregiver is scary.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And I think that is a really big piece in parents learning how to attune to their child.
Yeah.
We don't have to be the bosses.
We don't. We have to be in charge, but we don't have to be the bosses.
That's boundaries, not being bossy.
That's
right. And so there's a very big difference in that. There's boundaries in the fact that, Creed, you can't play with these Rudolph Christmas reindeers. But being bossy and demeaning is not going to be effective.
True.
And it's going to disrupt attachment.
Absolutely.
And safety and security. Because what that can create then is sneakiness. There's no safe check-in. Right? Those pieces with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Whew. As kids move into elementary school.
Oh, yeah.
They still need us.
I don't know. In elementary school, X got mad at me for something and slid me a note that said, "Find me a new mom."
Yeah, that tracks.
He then retracted that.
Right. He's like, "I'm just kidding. Don't do that."
After he was done being mad.
I love kids.
I know.
So independence does start setting in.
Yes. They have their very strong own ideas in elementary school.
Really
and they start to get exposed
to
other kids.
Yep. And as parents, we have a a strong lean towards blaming other kids for our kids' behavior. Well, they were fine till they went to school and they met like Bob, and Bob is kind of a jerk, and now he's a jerk.
I felt that about Axel and his friend in elementary school, who, by the way, is still one of his best friends.
Yeah.
But it's funny how they've grown, right?
Often I leave that up to teachers to talk about, like, oh, maybe they shouldn't be in the same classroom. Because they just feed off of each other.
Yes.
But your child is not experiencing a bad influence from other kids at school, though they are being influenced because they're now connecting.
Creating different attachment relationships with other people. Yep. Where this attachment you taught them early on is now flowing into relationships.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with their teachers.
Yep.
With if they start to get into activities, so like their coaches, and then of course their friends. Now, while peer development really doesn't become a huge focus until adolescence, it is still important now, because we are now taking the template of how we have relationships with our primary caregiver and starting to practice that in our other relationships.
100%. And learning those connections. I think about Creed coming home from preschool and he's like, I have a girlfriend.
Oh, Creed
I know.
would.
Yeah, he had a girlfriend, and what's really cute is he had the same girlfriend until we moved from that school district in second grade, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I look back at the stories and the connection he had with her, and he's like, so when we get married, we're gonna have bunk beds. That was when he was really into Buzz Lightyear, and he's like, and we're gonna have 8 Space Ranger babies.
Perfect.
Right? I mean, that was also
this.
around the same time he wanted to know what college courses you took to be Santa Claus. I mean, he was thinking about careers, marriage, but all of that comes from modeling.
Absolutely.
Safety and security in the household.
Yeah.
And attachment.
Yeah. Yes.
Being connected to caregivers.
Being connected to caregivers, letting them explore.
Yep. Learn. Be who they are.
Be who they are.
Yeah.
So, early childhood attachment.
Yep.
Okay. It creates a psychological blueprint or a template through which a child perceives the world.
Yep.
The way they trust and their future relationships.
Yeah, it gets them all mapped out.
Absolutely. Securely attached children tend to grow into adults who are more empathetic, resilient, confident, and successful in forming healthy relationships. Conversely, insecure, disorganized attachments can result in a lot of emotional regulation difficulties, behavioral problems and challenges with trust and intimacy later in life. And we'll be getting into those as we talk about folks throughout development. And I do want to separate a little bit secure attachment from neurodivergent disorders, and we will have another planned show where we talk more about neurodivergence, so I won't delve into that here.
Yeah, because that is a whole different topic.
Right, because you be securely attached and neurodivergent and struggle with emotional regulation. So definitely want people who are listening to this to, if you have concerns about your child or your relationship with your child, to reach out, connect with a therapist and talk about it. That's the place you would go to talk about it. But a lot of kids are really healthily attached, so don't freak out.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And there is a lot of great resources out there for it. Right?
Yeah, we have some that we will link for you guys, some great books to check out. I know you brought up First Time Mom, which I'm not super familiar with.
I got that as a baby gift when I was pregnant with Harley from actually my clinical supervisor back in the day.
Cool.
I know. It's by Dr. Kevin Lehman. It's called First Time Mom. It is a phenomenal book that normalizes being a first-time mom because they're handed you a child with no handbook, right? Best of luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Don't break it. And, because the joke is, right, you don't know what to do with the first one. The second one, you know better. And by the third one, it is what it is.
Right.
It's terrible. So I love First Time Mom by Dr. Kevin Lehman.
That's great. I would also recommend I Love You Rituals by Becky Bailey. Yep. It's such really great rituals and activities that you can do with your child to help just really connect and support a secure attachment. There is The Whole Brain Child.
Yeah.
by Daniel Siegel, and that does look at child development through an attachment lens.
Dan Siegel has tons of resources.
He really does. So definitely like workbooks and reading materials. One that I have recommended to families coming in who are really struggling with attachment, and this would also be really, really, really great for families who take in foster children or who have adopted, because those children have a lot of disrupted attachment and are having to learn at a later age how to do that securely. It is Beyond Consequences, Logic and Control. There's actually, it's a 3-volume series, but even if you just take a look at the first one, that's written by Heather Forbes. This book takes a look at approaching parenting from a love base rather than fear base, and understanding that kids, especially kids who have a lot of emotional problems, need a different approach. Though I think her approach isn't just for kids with a lot of behavioral problems, it's for all kids. So I'm a big fan of that one as well.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to take a note of is we were really highly focused on like how to create that secure base and be predictable for your kids. But parents, kids are hard. And we lose it sometimes. We get mad. We still have a range of emotions. Don't hesitate to put your child in a safe space and take a minute to go into a safe space for yourself, whether it's shut your bedroom door or take a, step outside if your child's secure in like a crib or something, and count to 10 and take a breath before you rejoin your child. You showing up in your best state is what is going to also help promote a lot of that secure attachment and predictability for the child.
Absolutely. This is where we get to be co-regulators, but we have to be regulated to do that. Right? So keep in mind, when emotions go up, cognition goes down. Our ability to be rational human beings starts to become a struggle. And so get yourself into a safe state, and then go and regulate your child before you deal with the behavior. So if Creed had seen the smashed statues and cried, knowing that you'd be upset, your job isn't to correct him yet, right? Your job is to regulate him,
right? Pick him up, soothe him, calm him, then review the situation.
Right. And as your children do get older, and now they are in elementary school, they're not babies, it's sometimes a little harder to remember that they're still really small humans that are learning the world. I do say this to my clients, so I'm going to put this out there. Your child does not wake up every morning and think, how can I piss off my parents today? I know sometimes it seems like it.
It feels like it some days.
Some days it does feel like that, but I promise you that's not what they're doing.
No.
They are learning the world. And for learning new information, that takes repetition. So yes, you did tell your child 500 times to not do that thing, and they did it
again. And you're frustrated. You have to regulate yourself as the adult, provide the safety and security.
Correct.
Regulate the child, and then have the discussion.
And then be like, hey, so remember that thing we said? That's not for you. Yeah. And as you pointed out, if at all possible, give them something else. Redirect what's happening. Or if it's, I'm having trouble remembering to put my shoes in the shoe slot, think that one through too. Put a picture up, or do something that might be a little bit more helpful.
Well, then ask yourself, are you putting your shoes in the shoe slot?
That is key. Again, I'm so glad that you just said that. We expect so much more from our children
than ourselves.
Or from our neighbor. Right? Like, we do not expect that our neighbor can come over and ask for our car and we share it. But we absolutely expect their children share all their toys if a friend comes over. And
then become embarrassed because they're being selfish.
Correct.
No. It's their toys, guys.
It's their toys. I'm sorry. But we need to understand that these are developing humans, and they are their own human self.
They have their own thoughts.
They have their own thoughts.
Their own emotions.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So with that being said, I think this was a great episode.
I think so too.
And kind of fun thinking back to our kids as littles.
I know.
Right?
They were so cute.
Yeah. So those parents out there, or just non-parents out there, anybody listening, just remember you can be a hot mess
and still keep it all together.
So we'll see you next time on Hot Mess Therapist.